Hey guys, it's Brigitte with San Diego Seed Company, and today we're in our garden and we are going to do a mid-season dahlia review. We're going to check out all of our dahlias and see how they're doing this season, why some are growing faster than others, how you prune them, how you can get the most blooms out of a plant, and everything that you really want to think about mid-season in your dahlia patch. Now don't forget, we have tons and tons of dahlia content. So if you're a beginning grower and you have never planted a dahlia before, please check out the videos linked in this description. We have tons of videos that'll show you exactly how to do that. This video is not so much about that and more about me showing off my dahlias and hoping to get you on the dahlia bandwagon and showing you how beautiful and incredible these plants are. I will be wanting to move around a bunch, but I just want to show you my walk path. All right, so if you've never grown dahlias before, spoiler alert, they're extremely easy. And they're one of the most rewarding flowering plants that you can grow because with a small little tuber, you get a massive, beautiful plant like this that produces huge blooms that are gorgeous in displays, in the garden. I just really can't say enough about how incredible these are. And one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about them is, for whatever reason, I always thought they were really difficult, but they're actually not. So these guys were planted in the spring, and what's important to know about dahlias is they come from Mexico and they don't like cold weather. So you plant them in the spring. Here in zone 9 and 10, we can plant them really early spring, and you get blooms like this almost all summer. It's really incredible. This particular variety, you'll hear me say this is my favorite, and then I'll just say, but this is my favorite. And that's because I have some this year that I can't decide. They're all my favorites. Like your children, right? You don't tell them which one is your favorite, but you really do have favorites. I only have one, but I'm sure I'll have a favorite. Anyways, so this beautiful dahlia is called Ace Somerset, and it is, I don't know if the camera can catch this, but it literally looks like it's glowing. It's absolutely stunning. The different changes of colors, you have this gradation from pink to a coral, and then the tips are a little bit more yellow. It just really is incredible. And if you've never grown dahlias before, it's important to know that there are tons of different bloom types, and not all dahlias are the same. So this particular type is like a decorative variety, a kind that you would be really good in an arrangement because it's neat and round. Then you have other ones like this, which are cactus blooms, which are really amazing. It's huge. Look at my hand, and that's not even the biggest one. Look at this. This thing is ginormous. And this is this particular variety is called Marta. It's really amazing, but the cactus varieties aren't as great in arrangements because they just look a little messy. Now, I say that, and you can make a beautiful arrangement with these guys, but they're not as neat and as orderly as the Ace Somerset. Then we have other varieties that are incredibly bright, crazy colors. This is the striped Volcan, and you can see that there's a little bit of red in here. And I have photos of this particular variety with way more red in it. You should know that dahlias are living organisms, and they change throughout the season and depending on the location. I have seen the exact same tubers be planted in one area in San Diego County and those same tubers be planted in another area, and the blooms are slightly different. That's because just like a vegetable crop, it's dependent on weather, temperature, care, sun exposure. All of these different things can make the dahlia slightly different. Now, I can just see the comments filling up right now. To clarify, you wouldn't plant the striped Volcan and randomly get something like this, but you might get a bloom that has slightly more red than others, more yellow. You can see that I've been pruning off of this plant because it's just incredible. The key with dahlias is the more you prune, the more you're gonna get. The heavier the blooms, you need to have something to hold them up. You can see I didn't put that up in this area of the garden, and what's happening? They're just falling right over, which is a bummer. So put in something to hold them up, they'll look a lot better. So this cutie patootie is a pom-pom. So you know, the names are very descriptive, right? It looks like a pom-pom. It's nice and tight. And this is called Cornell Bronze. And it is an incredibly adorable kind of muted color. Really just stunning in an arrangement. Very tight, very easy to use because there's not a whole lot of stuff going on. And relatively smaller blooms. Now, I'm sure the camera actually caught some of the insects that were on this bloom. We actually had somebody comment, and I thought it was really funny, that they said they would love to grow dahlias, but only if there are no insects on them. Well, if you've watched our videos, or if you have any inkling of the type of farmer I am, insects are a part of the job, and they're actually a good part of the job, and they're important to the ecosystem and to our garden and to the environment. So having a couple insects on here is not gonna hurt. What's really nice about the pom-pom varieties is you can very easily knock the insects off before you put them in an arrangement. We are an organic farm, and for our dahlias in particular, and much of our produce that we grow, we really don't spray anything because we just let nature take care of it. And you know, a couple ants on my dahlias, no big deal, it's fine. I'd rather have a couple ants in a happy garden than no insects at all. All right, this beautiful variety is called Natalie G. And this is probably the most popular variety that we have right now, and for good reason. It is the most beautiful pinks, corals, and there's just a gradation in the bloom that make it really fun to put in flower arrangements or to see in the garden. It is also a pom-pom type, so it's nice and tight, which is great. Interestingly enough, and this is great for new gardeners to know, the size of your blooms throughout the season will change. So I've been cutting on these flowers for more than 4 weeks now, and as I cut, the blooms are getting smaller. Think about it from an energy standpoint. Those first flush of blooms that they put out can be much larger, and over the season, as more of their plant matter dwindles, they're getting stressed, they're getting tired, they're running out of energy reserves, the blooms will naturally get a little bit smaller. So these are probably a third of the, or maybe half of the size of what the first flush of blooms were. And we'll see in the back of our dahlia patch how that has happened. So yours may be a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, this depending on how you harvest and when you're harvesting in the season. This dark beauty is called Rip City. And it's a beautiful, super dark purple, almost maroon color. And what's interesting is you can see we have this growing in a pot, which is a nice segue for me to talk about our choice in how we grow dahlias. I'll be honest with you. This year and last year, we grew dahlias in anything and everything we could get our hands into because they're just really incredible crops that are really kind of low input. It doesn't take a lot of energy on the front end to get a lot on the back end. You get all of these beautiful blooms, you can make arrangements and share with friends and family. We started out doing only in pots, and that was so that the roots, the tubers were easy for me to dig up and save. But we ran out of pots. I mean, who has a million pots lying around? We also wanted to experiment and see what it was like and how the plants would respond to planting directly in the ground. And what's great about this area of the garden is you can see I've got several different pots. All of these pots were planted at the same time, right alongside the stuff that was planted in ground. So we have one and two, really 3 rows of tubers that were planted directly into the ground at the same time. And you can tell it's a big difference in how they're growing. And there's 2 really big reasons for that. Growing in a pot, you've got to be very, very consistent on watering. Although dahlias are from Mexico and they don't like too much water and they can't actually rot if you overwater them, anytime you're growing in a pot, you really want to make sure that they stay consistently moist during their growing season, especially if they're really hot. Zone 9 and 10 gets really hot. Well, I wasn't so good at that. This is proof that when a plant is constantly in a state of wilting and shock and then being watered, they don't thrive. You can see the stuff that's on irrigation looks so much better. This whole row, the next row, and you'll see what we have in the back is on irrigation, grow simply, just really strong, sturdy, beautiful crops. And that should be a great argument for you to install irrigation in your garden and also help you save on water. The irrigation I have here is drip irrigation. It's running every other day, only for 5 to 10 minutes. Now that's not a formula for your garden. It depends on your soil, your irrigation system, and a million other factors. But I'm pointing out to you that it doesn't run for very long to get these big, beautiful, thriving plants. Okay, so as you can see, we're in a part of the garden that looks incredible this time of year, and it's in part because of all the beautiful dahlias that we planted. Whether you're a first-year dahlia grower, if you've never grown them before, or you're an expert, I'm hoping that this content helps you understand that dahlias are incredible plants that give you a lot of blooms for very little effort, and you can grow them in any way you want, whether it's in a pot, whether it's in ground. You can grow them from seed, or you can grow them from tuber. We carry tuber clumps, which are really great for the beginning gardener because there's a lot of biomass to give you energy to grow from. And we carry them in the spring. We typically take pre-orders because once we get them in, they're live goods. They have to get shipped out very quickly. So I'd love to see you on the dahlia bandwagon this year or next year. Show me your blooms. Tell me the varieties that you're growing. We want to know. We want to be a part of your growing journey and enjoy these gorgeous blooms together this year and next.